Welcome to the Hux Legacies show with Randy Hux, sharing inspiring stories of success from all walks of life.
Hey, welcome everyone to the Hux Legacy podcast. Another great one I have for you. I've got two fabulous people sitting in front of me, two caretakers of people. And to me, there's no more important legacy you could leave in life than taking care of your fellow man or your fellow woman and your family and your friends. And these two people right here have been doing this for years. I'm going to share a little bit about Michele Veillon and Susan Amos with you guys. And then I'm going to let them talk a little bit about their life experiences. And we're going to have a little fun with this because, it's always interesting to get to know people. And, Michele is a longtime resident of Rain, Louisiana, and she's married to a guy that she met playing softball. All right. A woman after my own heart, being a baseball guy. I love it. Okay. I also know something about Michele, that her son was a baseball player at UL. What Michele doesn't know is that I used to umpire college baseball, and I umpired a game that her son played in college where he hit 3 home runs in one game at LSU Eunice. Do you remember that, Michele?
Not the 3. I remember home runs through
Oh.
his career, but not specifically 3 home runs.
3 in one game. Yes. I was like, who is that kid? So I think that's pretty cool. She has a combined over 30 years. Get this, over 30 years combined as a mental health clinician, healthcare provider, and marketing manager. Over 30 years. Now, the only negative thing about Michele, she's a raging Cajun. She's not a Texas Aggie. She's got Cajun. She's a Tiger alumni. These are all things that aren't very comfortable for guys that are Aggies, but that's okay. We still like each other.
I went to McNeese for a year. Cowboy, Texas, a little bit closer to you, so I had to try it out to see what worked. It was the best fit, kind of like Cinderella and the show.
I love it. So yeah, being at McNeese State is close. It's close. It's close to Texas. It's close enough. I always said that Lake Charles should probably be cut out and be part of Texas because none of them speak Cajun over there. So anyway, she is what she considers herself. She's a do-it-yourselfer, which I want to hear about that, and a thrift shopper. I want to hear about that. And what does it say here? I make something out of nothing. But speaking about crafting, not issues, I love that. That's great.
Well, I knew that was a loaded statement. I wanted to clarify.
Right. It could go either way. That's right. So tell me just a little bit and tell the listeners out there, Michele, you grew up here in South Louisiana, and so you went to McNeese, you went to UL. You're an LSU alumni, is that right?
Yes.
With a master's degree from LSU. So you're feeling pretty good right now since the Tigers won the national championship. You're feeling like,
of course.
and
alumni.
Yes. So tell the listeners a little bit about your experience growing up, the impact that your parents had on you, the legacy that they have left or are leaving on you, and what you expect to leave as a legacy to your own children, and if and when you have grandchildren, the impact that you want to have. And the legacy show is really just about how can we leave a bigger and better impact for others. And we'll talk about y'all's career in just a minute, but just personally, I'm just very interested to know, what that's like, because I believe that, we are impacted obviously at birth from our childhood with our parents, and all that has a rippling effect, either good or bad. And then at some point, if it's not good, we as adults have to figure out how to overcome all those painful areas of our life and move forward so that we don't leave that for our children. So I'm just curious as to where you kind of what your life has been in that regard.
Okay. Well, it's not a very complicated story. It is impactful, for me, and I don't think that I ever saw the impact until I was either asked about it or there was a request for why did you get into long-term care, helping the elderly, social work, that sort of thing. Um, my best guess about this is my mom and dad are both only children, which is very unusual. So they have no siblings. I have no first cousins. I have no aunts and uncles. But what I did have, being the oldest, was two sets of grandparents that doted on me and my three siblings. So we had six adults. I imagine myself in the crib with six adults staring at me. You know, what that must have been like. But growing up so close to my parents and four sets of grandparents who lived all the way up through my adulthood. Early college was when I lost a grandfather. So I spent a lot of time with them. We traveled with them. We slept over with them. My grandfather gave me my first cigarette and my first coffee milk. Uh, just
The
spent so much,
Cajun way, baby, the Cajun way.
and I do
Yeah.
not smoke to this day. But just spent so much time, learned so many lessons how to play bourrée. I'm really going to be Cajun here. I mean, the rooster fights, horse racing tracks. We just lived a very clean, simple life. And I saw my grandparents as just young adults having fun because they had a lot of fun. And they really
Yeah.
had a lot of fun. They had a lot of siblings. And so, um, elderly people, as they aged, I still never really saw them as elderly, but their friends would come around. And I think not having a fear about aging was the biggest impact on me. And what I've taken with that as I've pursued a career, I stayed home for a while because I had five children, worked away, stayed home for a long time. And when I went back after doing some social work, I decided if I ever work again in that capacity, I want to work with the disabled or maybe the elderly, and kind of fell into a position at a nursing home. And just decided that it just made the most sense. And I felt so comfortable when people were so fearful. I can't begin to tell you the number of people that said, "Isn't that depressing? Isn't it sad?" And I do not, other than losing people that you care about, which is going to come, in all of our lives, losing some clients or residents I got close to. Other than that, I never found it sad. I found it exhilarating. I found it motivating. I'm still passionate about it. And one of my grandmothers, my dad's mom, developed dementia. We think it was Alzheimer's, and I spent a lot of time with her. Again, my dad, being an only child, a lot of the care, not fell to me. I chose. I volunteered. I spent a lot of time with her and really learned a lot about that and gave me such an appreciation for aging. And so, one of my biggest goals in life, and I think Susan and I'll share this, and she is the OG, which will know it, um, is to really dispel all those myths about aging.
Yeah.
I'm aging. Susan's aging. My parents are aging, but you'll never hear me say I'm old. You'll never
Yeah.
hear me say, "Oh, I'm too old to do that." I figure out a way
Love
to.
it.
And so, dispelling all of those myths and stereotypes about aging plays hand in hand with giving our senior population a voice, a choice, and helping them remain relevant and having a place in this world. It's not over. Chapter two is not over. It's a new book, and so again, really passionate about that. And when I was able to step into this role, it was an easy segue from long-term care with elder outreach and assisted living. That's who owns Senior Helpers. And to come into home care is like the perfect blend because I'm in a position now where I can help people stay home if that's what they choose to do.
Mhm.
And if they can safely do that and we can help them do that, wow, I'm winning the lottery every day.
Well, I think that's fabulous. Having grandparents as role models and them being so involved in your life and them impacting you, and then you turning around and having such a incredible positive attitude about aging, I think is terrific because I think a lot of the population out there just thinks, well, you know, heck, at 45, 50 years old, I'm kind of washed up and I give up and I'm not going to take care of myself anymore because, I don't need to, and I don't really care. And it just, you see it in society, and then we have the government that's helping everybody out that wants help, not needs help, but wants help.
Right.
And so, it's kind of, it forces laziness, lack of responsibility, all those kind of things. And so I think it's really, what's so fascinating to me about people like you guys and nurses is your heart to serve other people that do not want to be served.
Right.
What I'm saying is, most of us, I am not capable of doing what you guys do. I would feel the same way. Like, I would be like, man, I can't be in this environment. You guys thrive in it. I mean, I cannot imagine a greater legacy to live for other people than for them to be going out of this world being cared for by somebody that doesn't even know them, who's loving on them and caring on them. I think it is absolutely the spirit of God, in my opinion. And I don't think there's any other way that you can transfer that love without having some sort of relationship or belief in God that He has His hand in everything you guys do, because you guys are dealing with life and death. It is amazing. I mean, and we just heard 5 minutes of your story, and I'm just like, that's just incredibly impressive. By the way, listeners, I don't know these ladies this well. I met them one time. I've talked to them on the phone a couple of times, but I'm getting to know them just like you guys are. Just, I know that my impression with meeting with them was extraordinary, and I know that they're going to have some very, very valuable things to leave for you, the listeners, in multiple aspects of not just legacy, leaving a legacy, but also there's some care issues that we're going to get into here in a little bit. And Michele mentioned it about long-term care, and we're going to touch on some of those. And I want to hear some of their stories on that. So stay tuned, because you're going to hear some amazing stories from these ladies that hopefully are going to impact you and your family, and that hopefully you'll see the need for what they do and what they see out there in the senior community. So I'm going to move on here for a second. I'm going to go on to Susan Amos, fabulous lady who is been around the Acadiana area. This is what I love about what you said, is my goal has always been to assist the elderly to age in a place with dignity and respect. It also says here, her compassion and dedication to seniors and to veterans has been recognized by the community, and she's received numerous awards for all of your work. I want to hear about that veteran part. My stepfather did 2 tours in Vietnam in the K-9 division. His division only had a 36% survival rate, so he made it out of there. He spent 19 months in the bush, as they call it. And so I want to hear your role as that. My daughter's also in the reserves, about to get out. But I'm a big supporter of military. My whole family has been involved in the military back to my great grandfathers. So all my uncles, everybody except for me. So anyway, I don't know what that says about me.
That's your legacy. You have other
What?
legacies to
Maybe
pursue.
so. Maybe so. Good Lord bless me with other things. But so Susan from New Iberia, Louisiana. She went to UL again. You see what I have to deal with, listeners? I'm an Aggie. I live in Cajun country, and I have to deal with all this raging Cajun stuff all the time. Actually, the fact that they beat us so bad back in the mid 90s, we kind of deserve what we get. But anyway, I don't want to go down a rabbit hole, but I'll never forget that because I was at that game. Um, Susan has two children, Joseph and Jennifer. Jennifer also works. Talk about leaving a legacy. What did you pass down to Jennifer that would motivate her? What did she see in her mom that she loves so much that her mom passed this legacy on to her for caring about people like that? Tell me a little bit about that. That's just that's the ultimate legacy story to me.
Yeah, I'm honored by that. I think they saw I was a single mom their whole life, so they saw a very hard worker. They saw someone with drive and motivation um, to make a difference, and they saw a caring heart. You know, I took them to nursing homes to do things with the residents when they were little, so they wouldn't be frightened of seniors. But I think she just watched. You know, she saw that the compassion. She sees continuously. You know that I'm bringing meals to my aunts or taking my uncle out to lunch or whatever. Just taking time out of our busy schedule to spend time with with those that maybe don't have such a full life. It just gives
Yeah.
them gives them something to look forward to, and it just I think she just watched. I didn't talk a lot about it. I just did. I guess action is louder than words.
Well, that's what I was going to say, right? I mean, you did the ultimate. Like people can talk all they want, but really, the bottom line is if you really show that love and care and compassion, your kids are going to see it,
And she
and
did.
they're going to respect you like crazy for it, and they're going to want to do. Look, I did what my dad did. I became a CPA. I didn't like it, but I did what my dad did. We do what our parents do sometimes. So the fact that you have that legacy you've left and passed on is amazing. Where do you think you got all that from, Susan? Where did you get that love, that compassion? Was that passed down from your parents? What was your upbringing like? Was it a good situation? And
It
it
was not.
wasn't.
It was not. Yeah, no, totally different childhood from Michelle. Abusive home. Um, so I became an overachiever to prove that I had value. It's I guess what's driven me from deep down is that I am worthy and I am good and I am a hard worker and um, it's helped me in my life. It's made me stronger.
So, having had to go through adversity, we talk about this a lot. You don't learn from success, you learn from adversity.
Absolutely.
And so, you went through an abusive situation and you're growing up and what have you. At what point did you kind of wake up and say, listen, I'm not going to live my life like this. I'm not going to live in this negative state of mind, this abusive state of mind that I've been treated. What point did you kind of say, I want to be different than my parents? Because I have the same experiences. Okay. I'm not going to share those, but I have very similar experiences.
Right. Well, probably maybe freshman high, I realized that I could get very involved. My kids loved to tease me that I was Queen Spirit. Well, that's the true story, the trophy wife.
That you were what?
Queen Spirit in
Uh,
our high school, but just involved, in every club, on the dance team, just anything to stay out of the house, actually.
yeah.
So I realized that I could do that. I could have positive relationships with friends and I could do fun things, and it took away from the homework. But there was
Okay.
love. Don't misunderstand. It just yeah, it wasn't great. But I had two grandparents that were from Sicily and didn't speak English, and we lived two or three houses down from them. And I would go. My grandmother had dementia back then. We didn't know. We just thought, she just call it senile. But I would go and spend the night with my grandfather. Didn't speak a word of English. I understood everything he said. So I grew up a lot in that household as well. And then I have wonderful grandparents that lived in Coteau, Louisiana. They actually had property where the airport is now that was taken away But they were super hard workers and fun and funny and just a lot of positive experiences with my grandparents. Yeah, I didn't
Yeah,
see them either. They were so active and
I find that the some of the healthiest people, mentally healthiest people, and ultimately that your mental positivity and your health gives you good physical health. My experience has been that when you have a great, and this is biblical too, by the way, when you have a great, lineage, grandparents that have these certain skills and they pass those on to their grandkids, it's incredible how those kids end up. I mean, I've worked with guys that, I had an okay relationship with my grandparents, but I mean, my grandparents had one set of my grandparents had 28 grandchildren. They had 9 kids, I mean, it wasn't their fault. It was just how much time could they
Yeah.
spend with me? I mean, the 9 kids part was,
they kept having children because they needed them to work on their farm. You know,
yeah, that's right.
they had farming land. So my mom had 13 brothers and sisters, but I started to say my mom had Alzheimer's, so that was just kind of another phase of very close, with that disease and getting to know it. And just it's an awesome disease.
Yeah.
Really, it made me a lot more compassionate and understanding. Just the experience in dealing with her has helped me just physically.
So tell me, guys, what is it that you hope to? I see the legacy that you guys are leaving professionally. It's pretty clear. We're going to talk about that here in just a second. But what is your hope that when you're gone? What is your hope that people look back and say about you that left a great legacy, and they say, "Man, I miss Michelle. I miss Susan. This is what I miss about them." What would those things be? 2 or 3 things. Like, what do you hope to leave for others in life? Whether it's family, friends, business associates, our interaction today. I mean, are we going to have a relationship down the road? Is this a podcast one time deal and we're never going to see the guy again? What is it that, I hope not, but I mean, what is it? We get busy with life. What is it that you guys, just maybe 2 or 3 things, maybe, like, you hope that people say about you, that you hope you accomplish, and it leaves a legacy so that other people want to be like that trait or that quality? What are those things?
Well, I mean, one of the first things that I think about, I tell my kids often, and it kind of translates to an idea that I have about me and my life. I always tell them to be a ninja when they go somewhere and do something, get in and get out. Like, don't leave it worse, leave it better. Do your job, but if you borrow a car and it's on a fourth a tank of gas, fill it up. If you go in a home and you're at a friend's house and you're eating, clean up more, pick up more than whatever. But the idea of that is that I've given more than I've taken out of this
Oh,
life. That it was obvious I was there, but I didn't just take it. I left something behind. I think that's probably one of the most important things. The other that just comes to mind, and it again, really simple, just to be a good human being. I kind of laugh about the signs that say "be kind." This new generation or this new life we're living, and I think about we have to have a sign that says to be kind.
right,
We grew up just being kind, and that was
right,
the thing, and that was important. And I am a Catholic schoolgirl, 12 years, um, but just to be a good human being, and I don't need a sign for that, and allow people to have their opinions and their differences, and just be accepting of that. because we live in a world where we're encouraging people to be themselves, and it's complicated. And I am older, and I'm trying to learn, and I'm trying to catch up. But I just always fall back on, if you do the right thing, if you're good and you're a good human being, and people know your motivation, it's going to be okay if you have that communication.
So it's at heart. It's a heart issue. It's a do the right thing mindset. It's service. I wanna make sure that I serve my fellow man more than they could ever serve me, and that I love people more than they could ever love me. I love that. I used to tell my kids when they went off to school. I mean, from when they were little bitty kids, I'd say, "Hey, what you going to do today, honey?" They'd be off to get on the bus, right? And they went to Broadmoor, and they'd be going to their elementary school, and this started in kindergarten, and they go, "What do you mean, Daddy?" I say, what do we do? What do the Huckses do? And you say, "Oh yeah, I'm going to do the right thing." And so every day, it's so funny. I put that in their minds every single day for years and years and years. And they grew up, and guess what they say now as adults? I go, "Hey, what are you going to do when you get up there and you're out there on your own at University of Arkansas, Amanda?" She goes, "Well, I'm going to do the right thing, that's for sure." I go, "Hey," and it's just those little things. I love what you said about that. That's all just incredible stuff. I love it. How about you, Susan? What would you say?
You'd think I'd say things like that I was smart or a good businesswoman, but no.
Which she is.
No. That I was a good mother and grandmother. That I had integrity, and that I took really good care of the other.
I love that. Integrity. So, if you guys ever get a chance to come up to the office, you'll see on my wall some principles that I believe in. I love quotes, and our five main principles are honor, character, integrity, transparency, and authenticity. Like, that's what I hope people take away from me. Like, that guy's like, he's going to tell you what he thinks.
It's real.
He's real. This is not a show, because life is too short, and I don't have time. There's a lot of people that play games in this world. A lot of people in my industry play games. I have no interest in doing that. My deal, even though I'm serving in a different capacity than you guys, I still have to serve people in a way that really, it absolutely 100% benefits them and doesn't benefit me at all. Being a licensed fiduciary, that is required by me. That's required by me by the law. So I have to do that legally. A lot of people in my position don't have to do that. And that becomes very self-serving. And I don't like that. So I couldn't agree with you more. The word integrity means a lot to me. My stepdad being a Marine, character and integrity are like drilled into those guys. And as a result, they pass that down. I've seen him do things that are absolutely, completely full of integrity that I'm like, well, if you did the other, nobody would know. He'd go, "No, but I would know."
Right.
And I'm like, yeah, I guess so. So, and it's a process, right? We never get life figured out. We're always a work in progress. I tell my wife that all the time. Like, I'm just a constant work in progress. You got to be patient with me, man. And plus, I'm just a man. And men are we're just men. We're so limited. Without great women, I mean, it's amazing. You look at Adam and Eve and what they did, and just how weak Adam was in the garden to say, "Hey, don't eat that, Eve." He was so cowardly. He wouldn't even tell her not to eat the apple. Like, and we're supposed to be the men, the hunters, the providers, the caregivers, and all that. I think we still are. Some of us nowadays are. There's a lot of guys out there that have never been really men, and they still act like boys. But the goal was, for for Adam, what it should have been was for him to step up to the plate and be a man and say, you're not going to do that. And that didn't happen. And there's the fall of mankind. And the woman, this is what I say. If I had a business partner, like if I could choose one business partner, it would be the strongest woman that I knew, which might be my wife, but she'll never work with me. But she is probably the strongest woman I know. And I do have a director of operations in Mandy Kitty. Y'all just met her. Incredibly strong woman, just incredible. So anyway, I just think that all this woman power and woman equal rights and all that, I can't believe we even have to talk about that. Like, it's kind of like, be kind. Do we even have to talk about it? Like, women are stronger than men in a lot of regards. Like, we just have a narrow window of things that we can do. We just are physically stronger and sometimes mentally equal to women, but really women are, they are absolutely, and I'm not saying this because y'all are on this. I tell people this all the time. Having a strong woman presence is one of the best things that you could ever have. And there's a lot of women out there that are weak and docile and they just, oh no, I don't want to, no, I think being a strong woman is very impressive. And obviously you two guys being in the position that y'all are in and doing what y'all do for people, very, very strong women. You have my ultimate respect. I'm telling you with what you guys do. Let's talk about that just for a little bit. Tell me and tell the audience, because I want them to know, one of the things that we take care of here is long-term care needs. This is not a commercial. I don't care about selling a product. I'm not in this for money and finance. I could care less. This is a legacy show. So when you're watching this and you hear me start talking about long-term care and you know that I'm a retirement specialist, don't think that I'm trying to get to sell you anything, because I'm not. I just want to share this. I feel I'm going to read this to you. This came from my long-term care specialist. Long-term care is a looming financial disaster for millions of Americans. The harsh reality is that as we age, there's a 70% chance that we will require some form of care. This could be short-term, but it could also be long-term.